Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to do something really cool. We're pulling back the curtain on how a simple, static web page gets its superpowers and turns into a fully interactive app.
So, you ever look at a website and wonder how it goes from being just, well, a static page, like a piece of paper, to this living, breathing thing that reacts to everything you do? That's exactly the journey we're on today. Okay, so here's the plan. First, we'll uncover the page's secret blueprint. Then we'll learn how to become a DOM architect. After that, it's all about setting up digital tripwires, grabbing some pro tips, and finally putting it all together to build your first app. Let's get into it.
All right, first things first. Our first superpower is all about perception. It's like gaining X-ray vision to see the invisible structure that's holding every single web page together. You got to see it before you can change it, right?
And that structure, it has a name, the Document Object Model, or DOM for short. Now, the best way to think of the DOM is like a secret blueprint for the web page. It's not exactly the HTML you wrote, it's the browser's live interactive map of that HTML. And it's a map that our code can actually read and understand.
This blueprint is actually structured a lot like a family tree. You've got the main document at the very top, kind of like the great-grandparent. Then it has children, like the body tag. And the body tag has its own children, in this case an H1 and a P tag. It's basically a perfect mirror of how you nested your HTML code.
So, how do we find something on this blueprint? Well, we need a targeting system, right? That's where a command like document.querySelector comes in. It's awesome because it lets you use the exact same CSS selectors you already know for styling to pinpoint any specific piece of the page you want to mess with.
Okay, so seeing the blueprint is cool and all, but it's not enough. Now, we're going to become architects. We're going to learn how to actually change that blueprint in real time.
And changing the page, or DOM manipulation, really just boils down to 3 simple steps. First, you create an element out of thin air with createElement. Then you configure it, give it some text or some other properties. And finally, you append it, which is just a fancy way of saying you stick it onto the page right where you want it.
And what's really powerful is that just as easily as you can add stuff, you can make it disappear. Poof! A simple .remove command gives you total control to delete any part of the page. This is what makes an app feel truly dynamic.
All right, so our page can change, but it's still just kind of sitting there. It's not interactive. To fix that, we need to give it reflexes. We're going to set up what I like to call digital tripwires, making the page react instantly whenever a user does something, like a click or a scroll or a key press.
And our main tool for this is Add Event Listener. This is exactly how you set those tripwires. It's simple. You pick an element on the page, you tell it what to listen for, say a click, and then you tell it what to do by giving it a function to run the second that click happens.
Now, when an event happens, it's super important to know who's who. Event.target is the thing that actually got clicked, the specific button, for example, but event.currentTarget is the thing that was listening for the click. Think of it this way. The target is who screamed, and the current target is who heard the scream. Getting that difference down is absolutely key.
Okay, we've got the fundamentals down. Now it's time to level up. Let's look at a couple of pro techniques that'll make your code way smarter, faster, and just a whole lot more powerful.
So, let me ask you this. Imagine you have a list with, 100 items, or 1,000. Are you really going to add 100 different event listeners, one for each item? No way. That would be a total performance nightmare. Your app would grind to a halt. So what's the solution? It's something called event delegation. This is the real pro move right here. Instead of putting a listener on every single list item, you just put one listener on the parent list. It's like, instead of a guard at every single door, you put one guard in the main hall. It's way more efficient and a much smarter way to work.
But we have one last big problem. You've built this awesome interactive app, you've added all your to-do items, and then the user hits the refresh button, and it's all gone. Your app basically has amnesia. To fix this, we have to give it a memory. And that memory comes from local storage. It lets you save data right there in the user's browser, so it sticks around. There's just one little catch. Local storage only speaks in strings. So if you want to save something more complex, like an object or an array, you have to do a little two-step. You use json.stringify to turn into a string to save it, and then when you get it back, you use json.parsing to turn it back into a real object.
All right, time for the grand finale. Let's assemble our team of superpowers. We're going to see how our X-ray vision, our reality warping powers, our hyper reflexes, and our new persistent memory all come together to build a real, functional web app.
So, here's the recipe for our Contact Agenda app. First, we use our DOM vision to find the form and the list on the page. Then, we use our event handling reflexes to listen for when someone hits submit. After that, we use our architect skills to create and add the new contact to the list. And of course, we'll use local storage to give our app a memory so we can defeat that amnesia problem for good.
And what do we get in the end? An app that feels totally modern and responsive. When you add a new contact, it just appears instantly, no page reload. And the best part, when you close the tab and come back tomorrow, your list is still there, exactly how you left it. That is a seamless, dynamic experience.
So let's just quickly recap how all these pieces fit together. It's pretty straightforward, really. DOM access is how we find things. DOM manipulation is how we change them. Event handling is how we react to what the user does. And finally, web storage is what gives our app a memory.
And there you have it. You now have the fundamental superpowers of modern web development. This is the toolkit. This is how you transform any static page into a dynamic, interactive experience. So the only question left is, what are you going to build first?